there's a thing called 15-minute cities, and some cities in the world have been working on this. A 15-minute city is where you can get everything you need, like bank, post office, groceries,
Mm.
hardware store, health clinic, all within like a 15-minute walk of where you are. And there are cities working on doing that. And yeah, there's a book called, what is it, Retroburbia, I think. It's a way to retrofit suburbs so that they can become like small neighborhoods with everything you need in there. And yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of people working on these things. And yeah, it's nice to be able to do something. And getting rid of my car is a big step. There is this book called by George Marshall called Don't Even Think About It. And he said that like it was about the psychology of climate change and how he said a lot of oil and gas companies say we would like to stop producing oil, but we're forced to produce it because the public demands that we make it. And because they just keep buying stuff, we have to keep producing it, which is a powerful thought, because that puts the ball back in our court. I know this is a broader topic and the world isn't perfect and everything wouldn't go this way, but if, like 1,000 or 1 million people stopped owning a car, I mean, that's oil that wouldn't get burned. The oil companies
Right.
produce the oil, but we're the ones burning it in our cars.
Yeah, that's
You
so
know, I
fair.
mean, I know some companies burn fossil fuels for their own thing, but billions of people drive cars, and we're the ones burning it. And it puts the ball back in our court. Like, if you can find a way to get your life, like live car free, it's anyway. Yeah,
Yeah, I honestly, that is very interesting thing to think about because you're right, the ball is in our court, and if we were to be a little more conscientious about that kind of stuff, I'd be very interested to see what we could pull off. Um, Big corporations will only create what people consume, and if we consume less or different than we do, it very well could impact everything greatly. During the pandemic, for example, when we were all in lockdown for 2 or 3 weeks, the world really did clear up for that period of time. And they showed images of like right downtown Paris, and it's usually pretty smoggy, but it was quite clear, and various other cities as well, with the exception of certain spots. Like, I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like Jakarta in Indonesia would always be very, very polluted because they are, to my knowledge, the most polluted city in the world. Um, but aside from that, there was a significant impact, positive impact environmentally that the pandemic provided us.
yeah, I know that was incredible. It's yeah, uh, yeah.
Honestly, the pandemic was not a bad experience in some ways. I appreciated that there was a bit more space between people in lineups because I've never been a big fan of someone breathing down your neck when you're waiting for something. And then just more space outside to be able to do things, and not always have somebody always right there. Um, but then, of course, there were so many downsides to the pandemic, both for the economy and in everyone's personal lives and a lot of jobs, although working from home was more popular, which I'm a big fan of. But yeah,
Yeah.
lots of
Uh,
pros and cons.
yeah. I think about when we go out into public, most of us live in cities and towns. Some of us still live very rurally, but even in like a small town of like 1,000 people, like that's 1,000 people. Do you know every single person in the town?
Mm,
I lived in a town of 2,000 people, and I didn't know everybody there. A lot of people I didn't know. And you go out into public, and you're just with all these strangers.
yeah.
And I know some people like that. Some people love living in cities and having all these different and new people around, people you've never met. And I like that too. I love going to cities and seeing all these people. Um, but it's I sometimes think, well, in the old days when we were hunter gatherers, we didn't see that many. I'm assuming we didn't see that many new people like daily.
Right.
We'd get together in large groups. The tribes would come together for events and whatnot. But I'm guessing we'd sort of be with the same small group of people who we would know everybody. Can we be like when I walk down the street, I can't be like, I know you just you can't act a certain way. You have to be more reserved. You have to be more conservative. There are people you don't know around, and when we are with somebody like we don't know, we sort of have to be more reserved. Like, okay, how do I act with this person? You have to start from a baseline, ground zero, and you have to build up to be more comfortable with them, to be more. And it's it's nice. I enjoy being with a group of friends and at home, away from strangers, where you can just be yourselves. you
Well, you
know?
see, my approach when it comes to strangers and friends is just don't start at ground zero, start at ground like 15, where you're already pretty weird. And then that's going to make it so the people that should be in your life will be like, "Oh yeah, that's just Morgan. She's weird." But then if the people who are not meant to be in your life will be like, "Who the heck is that? I don't want anything to do with that."
Okay. I did a personality test years ago, and it said my personality is I'm more reserved when I first meet people. So maybe it's just my personality thing. I'll open up to them later. And it said that people, and I don't know if this is true about me or not. I may have not filled out the questionnaire the right way, but it said people can take me as sort of being cold and not that likable,
Mhm.
sort of standoffish when they first meet me. But they say it's actually the opposite. I have a lot of concern and interest and respect for you. I'm just being more just I'm starting from ground zero kind of thing. So it's maybe it's just a personality thing for me. I know we're all different. The more people you meet as you get older, you realize, wow, there's so many different people with perspectives and interests and likes and the way they
Yeah,
talk and communicate and walk. And it's there's just so many different people out there. It's incredible.
absolutely.
But
I do think
Oprah Winfrey said, "We're more alike than we are different, though. We're more
it
alike."
was that's exactly what I was going to say. I do think that there's a lot of unique perspective, but no individual concern or thought or problem or just personality type is its own thing. Everyone shares the same information, more or less. Um, I know that astrology, I'm not super big into it. I don't really know too much about it, but the way it's designed is, say, if you're a Pisces, which I am, then it is you're supposed to be like good with words. You're supposed to be bubbly and you're high energy and you're active and you have all of these deeper thoughts and feelings about needing stability, but also not needing stability, and all this conflicting information. And it's so interesting because it's vague enough that you're like, okay, yeah, that could fit anybody. But then on the other hand, it really does fit me. And then there's just so many people that experience the exact same thing, even if they are not the exact same person. Just being within that vein, all the Pisces are more or less the same. All the Cancer, all the Gemini, etc. The people that share those types of personality traits, because it's like nature versus nurture, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, any problem you think you might have, somebody else has the same problem. Any um, particular thing that you think you have that makes it like, oh, that's a unique to me problem, or a unique experience that I have isn't as unique as you would imagine. For
I
example,
know.
when it comes to mental health, I have obsessive compulsive disorder. And when I was younger, I was terrified that if people found out, they would treat me differently and I would no longer have the same respect. I would no longer be the same person. And people would be like, oh, can we, like, are you okay with hugs? Are you okay with us being in the same space? That kind of stuff. And then the more I talk about it with people, not only am I realizing that most people have a little bit of OCD, and it's only like a larger percentage than I ever thought, but a smaller percentage out of the total people that have OCD as a more severe form of anxiety. But the more you talk about it, the more commonalities you can experience with these people. One of my coworkers even has the very, very similar type of OCD to myself. And it's so wild, just these comparisons being like, oh, do you have this thing? And oh, do you have to keep things like this too? And then she's like, oh my God, yes. And it's so wild to connect over something like that. But yeah, a lot of people can share exactly the same type of anything that you might have.
Yeah, I've had mental health challenges in my life too. For me, it's schizophrenia. I've had depression and anxiety along with that. And, it can really make you just sit there and think, wow, like there's nobody going through this. But my heavens, there are so many people going through it. Like so many people, like what is it, the loneliness rate in the States and many other countries, like in the States, I think it's what, 30 or 40% or something. Uh, 30 or 40% of people say they don't have someone to talk to about stuff. And yeah, there's a guy, David Topus, and he's got a book called Talk to Strangers. And it's one of my favorite books. He says, a lot of people, some people will go out into public and they don't want to talk to anybody and they're fine with that. A lot of us, though, want to go out into public. It's an adventure. We're leaving the house.
Yeah.
And yeah, he talks about how to approach strangers and start conversations with them. And he does a lot of business that way. He actually flies places to do this for no reason, just to meet people. And yeah, it's and he says like a lot of people want to go out and meet people and have meet strangers, but we're hesitant to do that. How do you get over that barrier? And yeah, because a lot of us are lonely and we're sort of
Mm-hmm.
waiting for someone to come and help us and help beat our loneliness. And sometimes we have to, that's something I'm trying to do. I've kind of done it for a while, but trying to go out of my way to make friends. With my disease, I was waiting for people I really wanted someone to take me under their wing and comfort me while I was going through these really painful mental health challenges. And um, yeah, you sort of feel very vulnerable, like a tortoise without its shell. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but sometimes you have to go out there and take the initiative, even though you're not feeling like you can. For me, what worked for me was going to events. There's always events going on. I mean, unless you live very rurally. But yeah, there's events going on you can go to. And it's just nice to be in a room with other people. When COVID happened in lockdown and I didn't see people, I lived by myself at the time, and I could look out the window, maybe see one person walking by to the grocery store, but I didn't see many people. I lived in a small town, and when we got out of lockdown and we were allowed to go out and be in public, although like bubbles and all that sort of thing, I found it comforting to just see people, just to
Yeah.
see people, like people I knew or people I didn't know. And yeah, there's a YouTuber in New Brunswick, an adventure YouTuber, and uh, his tagline is "Things happen when you leave the house."
So true.
And I like that. Yeah, it's true. And just simply getting outside the house. Was it? I think Rachel Hollis. She's the author and of um, uh, anyway, Rachel Hollis. She says she really, really encourages you to just get out of the house. Just walk the dog, walk around the block, something. Just get out of the house. It's just all these small things like you know, I would go to events. I'd go to the mall. I said one day I said, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore. I just can't sit at home with people, no one to hang out with, and me just spending the evening by myself. Like I need to get out. I'm going to the mall. I don't care if it's just for half an hour and the mall is closing in half an hour. I'm getting out. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going." And I got in my car and drove to the mall for half an hour. It's kind of, not much time to spend at the mall, just half an hour. But I was going. I was going. I was getting out of the house. And yeah, I find it helpful just to see people through the day. This past
Absolutely.
winter, I was not working for a couple months, and I thought, well, I'd have lots of time to do my online stuff, my online mental health advocacy, but I can only do so much of that in a day without seeing people. And when I went back to work part time for like 3 or 4 hours a day, 4 days a week for the rest of the winter, it was nice, and it made me feel like I still had a life outside my job, my like I still could do my online mental health advocacy work, and it was a nice balance, and it gave me a real appreciation for having a part-time job when you retire. Just a
Mhm.
few hours a day, 3 4 days a week or something. It's nice. It's just to see other human beings, and I had a job that was physically active, so I got to move my body and lift and lug things, which I enjoy doing anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely community creatures. I remember one time I was at home and it was probably like 2014. And I was complaining to my dad that I had no friends. And he was like, well, you're not going to make any sitting on the couch complaining about not having any. And he was like, all right, fair, fair. So I found an event that was going on, and it was a zombie walk. So people were dressed up like zombies wandering around the neighborhood. And I had no time to get dressed up because it had already started, but I really wanted to be a part of it. So I left the house and I found the horde of zombies, and I was chasing the horde of zombies, and just walking amongst them all. And then eventually they stopped in Tompkins Park, which is downtown Calgary. And I was the only one, as far as I knew, not in costume, just taking pictures of all these zombies. And then I sat down in this gazebo and I was reviewing all these photos. And then some other guy, not dressed up like a zombie, comes up to me and asks if he can take my picture. And I was like, sure, there's so many better things to take pictures of, but okay. And then he was like, so I know it's like the whole don't like talk to strangers thing, but do you want to go for a coffee with me and my friend? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I went for coffee, and it turns out this guy is very well known in the acting and music and dance and modeling and writing scene of Calgary. And he's a hobby photographer, and he just gets invited to all these events all the time. And I got to be his plus one to quite a few of these things, and I met so many people through him, and it totally changed my perspective on how friends work, on how the city works, and on how to get more engaged and involved in things. And I was able to attend so many different parties and events and galleries and just special events, and just things you wouldn't normally find, because I stopped complaining about not having friends and went and found an event and talked to people.
Wow. Wow, that is a neat story.
Right?
Wow. Oh yeah.
Thanks for the conversation, Matthew. High
Yeah, thanks, Morgan.
five.
Tune in next time to see where our conversation keeps going.
And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe.